Hello, this is Stuart Clark, Developer Advocate for Cisco DevNet. In this session, we're going to look at Automation Exchange, which is a shared code repository for network automation. We're going to look at how to get started with Automation Exchange to find the very best use cases for network automation. To access Automation Exchange, simply open a browser and go to developer.cisco.com/network-automation. You can log into Automation Exchange using your DevNet account. If you haven't got a DevNet account, it's easy to sign up for and it's free too. Once you've logged in, you'll be presented with two options: to view all use cases or share use cases. We'll jump into those in just a second, but for now I want to scoot down on the main page and show you all of the information on here to help you actually navigate through Automation Exchange as you're using it. The first part that we see is discovering multi-domain network automation, and here we're looking at an ecosystem. This talks about the languages such as Ansible, Puppet, Terraform, or a custom workflow. These are typically things that we see in our Net DevOps tool chest today and our workflows that engineers are using. Underneath of this, we have the Cisco infrastructure. Here, this is a great way to look at use cases based on the Cisco platform that you're interested in working with, such as DNA Center, SD-WAN, ACI, Crosswork, NSO, Firepower, or Umbrella. So not only can you look at it via the categories of the platform itself, but you can look at it via also say campus or branch, data center, service provider, or security, typically where you'd expect to find some of these Cisco platforms. Next down, we have the methodologies. If we start on the far left hand side, we see the walk methodology that we spoke about before. And then underneath of this, we see a use case which is attached to the walk methodology. We can navigate over to the run next to it, and then we can see another use case which is associated with the run methodology. And then finally, if we go over to the fly, we see an example use case which is attached to the fly methodology too. If you scoot right down to the bottom of the page while navigating on one of these tabs, you can see another additional two use cases that are referred to with that methodology. Or if you wanted to see every case which was linked to the fly methodology, you could simply click see all, and that will take you to all of the fly use cases. Let's scoot right back up to the top of the page again, and let's look at an automation use case. If we click on view all use cases, this will open up a separate tab. Here we can specify the stage, the scenario, the life cycle, the domain, or the product. If we start with the stage, this is our walk, run, fly area, and here we can specify which methodology we want to look at. This would list all the methodologies linked to walk, or to run, or to fly. Next, we could look at the scenario. The scenario could be telemetry or insights, cross-domain automation or monitoring, or something like automation at scale, and there's a few others that are linked in there as well. Next is the life cycle. So this is our day 0, day 1, day 2, etc. Then there's a domain where you might typically find this. So say you were looking for use cases around campus or branch, data center, service provider, cloud, IoT or security, you could specify one of these and look at all of those. And then we go into the product. Here, as we spoke of before, you can look at all the use cases based on the product. So you can see all of the use cases here that are attached to the Cisco Meraki product, or Cisco DNA Center, or even SD-WAN. There's around 12 different products listed in there for you to look at. And of course, we can mix and match these across to drill down into all of these use cases. So let's look at this one, for example. If we go down into the stage, and then we look at, say, the life cycle and look at day 1, we can see all of our use cases in here. We could perhaps change this and change this into walk, and then look at the use cases as well. We look at day 0, change this to run in day 0, for example. Now let's open one of these up. Say we wanted to look at automate network configurations with Napalm and Click libraries. You simply click on this and it opens up the page which should tell you all about it. You'll see on the right hand side the Cisco products that can be used using this case example, and here we've got IOS XE, Nexus and XR. In this scenario, this is considered automation at scale. In the lifecycle, it's actually covered by a number of life cycles, meaning this particular use case could be used to install, provision, configure, optimize, or even manage as well. The stage that it is at is run, where we're going to set policy across our network. And the technologies that are going to be used are Python and REST API. This is particularly useful if, let's say, you are using Python or Golang or Ansible as your code. You could change it up and select which language you wanted to use in your use case. In the top, you'll see a brief overview of what this library or what this use case can be used for. And this is just a brief overview. For a more detailed look, we look into description. And the description should really outline for us what we expect to see throughout this use case and what problems we offer to solve. You'll see underneath this the objectives and some of the requirements as well. If this was a platform specific one, you would see a version, say for iOS XE or Nexus or something, or if you were using DNA Center or SD-WAN, you might see the version that it was expected to be able to run to be able to leverage these features on your device. If we go up a little bit further, you'll see that a little tab here that says see this on Code Exchange. So let's say, for example, this code is for you and this use case is for you, and this will help you solve one of your network automation challenges. We can click on the Code Exchange link and this will take us over to Cisco Code Exchange, where we can actually get that code and download it and run it. What you'll find in Code Exchange is a little bit more of a technical overview of what this code will do, how to install it, and examples of how to run it. If we go back over to Automation Exchange, on the other tab that we have is Share a Use Case. This is where folks at Cisco, members of the community, have submitted use cases which you will find in Automation Exchange. And as we mentioned before, this is 100% community driven, so I encourage you, if you've got a great use case, to submit it into Automation Exchange. Submitting something is really simple. Just complete the mandatory fields which have a star next to them, such as the title, the inline technology, and the use case description. When you enter a use case description, this is written in Markdown, so you can add in images and links to other things such as GitHub, DevNet sandboxes, Code Exchange, etc., or other online documents. Once you've completed the description, then you put your use case into a category. Here you can select one of the categories. If none of these apply, you could always select Other. You can then select the domain for which this would fall into, whether this would fall into campus or branch, data center, service provider, IoT, security or collaboration, etc. Next, you can select the product, and you can select the product this applies to. In the last example, we saw that use case you could use it on iOS XE, XR and Nexus, so you can select as many products as you wish. Then you'd select the stage. Again, in this case, you could select more than one stage, but typically I only assign this into one stage. Then there's the additional information. Things like Code Exchange. If you have a repo with some code in that runs against a use case, this is a great place to put it. A link to a sandbox. A lot of the use cases have links to sandbox, which makes it super handy, because you sometimes don't want to be testing new code in a production environment, and you might not have a dev environment to be testing your code. The other thing that you can put underneath here is a business benefit and impact for business requirements, what problem you believe this is going to solve. There's a couple of additional things at the bottom, such as white paper, customer quote. If you've got a video demo, that's great. Just insert the video demo link into here, and this will be inserted into the main description body above. And then right at the bottom, there's additional notes. When you're submitting your code, I strongly advise you to put something in additional notes saying why this would be a good use case to have in Automation Exchange. This helps the process when your code or your use case is reviewed and ready to be made live into the production environment. Thank you for joining me for this session. I hope you enjoyed the rest of all of the sessions we've got lined up for you at DevNet Create this year.